Hello, everyone. Something that is common in our culture, something that shows up at celebrations, social gatherings, and even quiet evenings at home, alcohol. For many people, it is seen as a normal part of life. But the truth is that alcohol is not just a casual drink. It is a powerful chemical that changes the way our brain and body function. What I want to share with you today is not just a surface-level idea that alcohol makes you drunk, but the actual processes, the chemicals, and the effects happening inside of you every time you consume it. When alcohol enters your body, it begins its journey in the digestive system. Unlike food, it does not need to be broken down very much before entering the bloodstream. About 20% is absorbed directly through the stomach lining, while the rest is absorbed through the small intestine. Within minutes, alcohol is circulating through your blood, and because it is water-soluble, it travels quickly to every organ, including the brain. In the brain, alcohol interacts with neurotransmitters, which are the chemicals that nerve cells use to communicate. One of the first systems it affects is called GABA, which stands for gamma-aminobutyric acid. GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter, which means it slows down brain activity, and alcohol increases its effects. That is why you feel relaxed, less anxious, and maybe even sleepy after drinking. At the same time, alcohol suppresses another neurotransmitter called glutamate, which normally excites neurons and helps with memory and learning. When glutamate is suppressed, your brain activity slows even further, and that is one of the reasons alcohol impairs memory and makes it harder to focus or learn new information. There is also the dopamine system, which is the brain's reward pathway. Alcohol stimulates the release of dopamine, especially in the nucleus accumbens, a part of the brain linked to pleasure and reinforcement. This release of dopamine is what makes alcohol feel rewarding, what makes people enjoy the buzz, and what also contributes to the risk of dependence, because the brain begins to associate alcohol with pleasure and relief. Meanwhile, alcohol affects the body in many ways. In the liver, enzymes called alcohol dehydrogenase and aldehyde dehydrogenase work to break down alcohol into acetaldehyde and then into acetate. Acetaldehyde is toxic, and while it is usually broken down quickly, when it builds up, it contributes to nausea, headaches, and the general discomfort of a hangover. The liver can only process a certain amount of alcohol per hour, usually about one standard drink. So if you drink faster than your liver can process, alcohol builds up in the blood, and its effects intensify. In the cardiovascular system, alcohol initially dilates blood vessels, which is why people often feel warm or flush when drinking. But at the same time, it increases heart rate and blood pressure, and over long-term use, it can weaken the heart muscle and increase the risk of heart disease. In the digestive system, alcohol irritates the stomach lining, increasing acid production and sometimes leading to inflammation, ulcers, or gastritis. Alcohol also interferes with hormones. It reduces the production of antidiuretic hormone, which normally helps the kidneys retain water. Without it, the body produces more urine, which is why drinking leads to frequent trips to the bathroom and often to dehydration. That dehydration, combined with the buildup of acetaldehyde and the disruption of sleep, contributes heavily to the feeling of a hangover. On a larger scale, repeated alcohol use causes long-term changes. The brain begins to adapt to the constant presence of alcohol by reducing GABA receptors and increasing glutamate receptors. This means that over time, people need more alcohol to feel the same effects, which is tolerance. It also means that when alcohol is removed suddenly, the brain is left unbalanced, with too little GABA activity and too much glutamate activity, leading to withdrawal symptoms like anxiety, shaking, seizures, and in severe cases, delirium tremens. The liver, after years of heavy drinking, can become scarred, a condition called cirrhosis, where healthy tissue is replaced with scarred tissue and the organ cannot function properly. So when we say alcohol affects the mind and body, we are not just talking about getting tipsy at a party. We are talking about a chemical that alters neurotransmitters, floods the brain with dopamine, disrupts memory and learning, changes hormones, stresses the liver and the heart, and over time can rewire the brain itself. It is not about saying that no one should ever drink, but about understanding exactly what happens every time alcohol is consumed, so that choices can be made with real knowledge. To close, I want you to think about this. The next time you see a glass of wine, a bottle of beer, or a cocktail, remember that it is more than a drink. It is a chemical reaction waiting to happen in your body. Your brain will slow, your memory will blur, your heart will beat differently, and your liver will immediately begin the hard work of breaking down a toxin. Alcohol may feel simple on the surface, but inside, it is anything but simple. Thank you for watching. If this gave you some insight into what alcohol is really doing to your body and mind, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because spreading knowledge like this is something we can all benefit from.